This is Liquid Gold.
Putting the days in holidays for you, going on our fourth year here on Liquid Gold. Welcome back. I'm your host, Mike Wolf. Today, I'm going to be going over a couple of holiday drink ideas for you, both from the new book, Cheer, and a drink that we left out. I just ran out of time and wanted to get this drink in there. I'm talking Coquito, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And we are talking the Tom and Jerry today. The Tom and Jerry drink is one of the great holiday drinks. It's basically eggnog, but it's warm. It's served warm, and there's a few different ways you can do it. I'm going to talk about the way that we do it here in the book and a way that it's done up in Tom and Jerry country, which is really up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, kind of that really cold area of the Midwest. A great place to have a Tom and Jerry. As always, you can find us on the new website, liquidgold.show. You can go through the archives and find some of the delicious holiday content that we've done over the last 4 years. And shout out to our producer, Michael Eads, and everybody at We Own This Town. Check out everything going on at the We Own This Town podcast network over at weownthistown.net. The music show, Mom Cult, is a new one. That's really cool for all you moms out there, or dads. Check that one out. Got some cool events going on this weekend I want to tell you about. I'll be in Charleston, South Carolina. Be popping up at Edmunds Oast Exchange. Really amazing bottle shop. They've got books in there, and they're doing a little holiday market thing on Saturday. That's Saturday, December 17th, and I'll be there from 3 to 5. It's kind of going on all afternoon into the evening. I'll be there pouring some punch from 3 to 5 at Edmunds Oast Exchange there in Charleston. Really excited about that. And shortly after that, I'll be heading across the bridge to St. John's Island and popping up at Minero. Absolutely incredible Mexican restaurant. The chef, Shamil Velasquez, who we had on our Coquito episode, we'll be doing a little Coquito collab. So we'll have that at the pop-up on Saturday, December 17th at Minero. We're doing that 6 to 8 p.m. And cocktail correspondent, Jessica Backhus, will be there. She'll be in tow doing an Italian grandpa drink. I think we're going to do the commencement from the book and a drink that we did for years at Husk. Really delicious aperitif, digestif. It can go either way. It's got some sweetness. It's got some bitterness. And I think we're going to offer a tequila sidecar because Minero is just an incredible agave-centric place. And we're also going to be doing the Tequila Hurricane from the book Cheer, a liquid gold holiday drinking guide. We're out there promoting the book. Do check it out. It's available online, turnerpublishing.com, bookshop.org, all the places you would buy books. You can still get it for Christmas. And it's available here locally in Nashville at Parnassus, Bookshop East. So super easy to get some signed copies here in Nashville. You can hit me up on Instagram at MikeWolf_books. If you need, if you're local here in Tennessee and you need a signed book, hit me up. I'll help you out, and we'll work something out for the holidays this year. So that's what's going on. And then another event coming up will be at doing a little eggnog pop-up at Josephine over there on 12 South, making some eggnog and hanging with our buddy Patrick Goodspeed over there. He's running the bar program over there. So that's at Josephine Thursday, December 22nd. Recording this on December 15th, so that's just a week away. And we'll be doing that kind of all night, 6 to 9 or so, pouring out some eggnog, making some holiday cocktails, and we'll have books there, signed books. You can get them personalized right before the holidays. I can write a custom recipe for your friend, for your spouse, even for your enemy. I'll write a customized recipe. If you come to any of these pop-ups, find me, grab a book. I'll do a recipe for you. I remember I've done that before. I say, hey, well, what's this person like? What do they like to drink? And then I'll come up with a recipe for them right on the spot. So that's kind of fun. So come see me. I'll be out and about here over the next week or so. And thanks to Kevin King, Jess Backhus, Shamil, everybody at Edmunds Oast Exchange, and really looking forward to hanging with my homegirl, Jessica Backhus. And we will have, in this episode a little bit later, Jess's holiday party planning guide. That's a great old Bill Parcells story called Runways Last. We'll run that here at the end of this program today. I do need to mention an old friend of mine, a guy I grew up with, an amazing basketball player, was on our state championship team back in high school, And we played hoops together off and on from the time he was a year younger than me. I was like probably 8 years old when I first kind of knew him, played some basketball together. His name's Ben Price. Rest in peace. We lost Ben right around Thanksgiving, and he passed away peacefully in his sleep. And just been thinking about him a lot, and a lot of the memories. And, in talking to my mom about it too, you realize that there's always bad things that are going to happen in life, and life is hard. What is the song? Life is hard, love is rough. But we've got the memories, and I've got a lot of great memories with Ben. But I do want to say rest in peace, rest in power. Ben, we love you. And give our condolences to his family, the Price family out there in Denver, Colorado. So there are so many holiday-centric drinks, obviously, that we talk about in this book. It's a Liquid Gold holiday drinking guide. There's even a few that we left out. So Coquito, we weren't able to get in there. So we'll be putting some of our Coquito recipes and stuff here a little bit later in the episode. It's a really incredible tropical coconut flavored holiday cocktail from Puerto Rico that is just incredible. And we had one of the best chefs in the South, Puerto Rican, Shamil Velasquez. We had him on a couple years ago to talk about it, and his recipe was just featured in Food and Wine magazine. So, and we'll be collaborating with him this weekend, so we got to talk Coquito. But first, we're going to talk about the Tom and Jerry. The Tom and Jerry is this incredible eggnog riff that you serve warm, and also one of the great things about the Tom and Jerry is there are these punch bowl sets that you can get that were really popular in the mid-century here, middle part of the 20th century, that is, and very popular in the Midwest. So I'm out here in Tennessee, and, if I get on Craigslist and I get on eBay, I can find them. I got one to shoot the Tom and Jerry for the book, and let me just get on here on eBay. Let's see what we can find real quick, because you've still got time to find a Tom and Jerry punch bowl set right before the holidays. Here we go. I just found one with 6 cups. It's $39 with $17 shipping. Not bad. There's some buy it now options, $75. There's a really old one that looks really nice, Snowflake Fire King Tom and Jerry. That seems like that was kind of a famous version of it. And then there's a really cool one that's green that I've never seen before. All the cups are green. That one's really, really cool. That's $45 with $25 shipping. So there's tons of them. It seems like right around $60 is what you're going to spend. And this is something you could break out during the holidays every year. We'll go ahead and post the picture of the Tom and Jerry set that we used for the photo shoot for Cheer. Shout out to Christine Souter, who did amazing photo work on this book. It was just a joy to work with her, and I hope to work with her on another book soon. So the Tom and Jerry is just flavorful holiday cocktail. Would be great for a party when it's going to be cold out. And actually, there is extremely cold weather that's supposed to be coming here to Tennessee a week from today. So right around Christmas Eve, we're going to have cold weather. We might even get some snow around the 22nd, 23rd, they're saying. So this would be a good time of year to break this out. So this is a traditional Christmas drink. It's been really popular in the Midwest, kind of upper Midwest, Wisconsin, Minnesota, definitely Tom and Jerry country up there. It's really similar to eggnog. It's really just you can make a batter, and we've got a recipe for the batter here in the book that I'll go over in just a second. And then you can mix the batter with hot water, or you can mix it with hot milk. Hot milk is what I would prefer. That's just going to be more delicious. You're going to have a little more fat than water, so that makes it more delicious. And where is this cocktail from? So a lot of people think that the cocktail, being a mid-century cocktail, was named after the cartoon characters Tom and Jerry. Not the case. It was actually that the Tom and Jerry, the cartoon characters that would chase each other around. Basically, I have a version of that going on in my house where the dogs and the cats are kind of at war with one another, essentially. But the Tom and Jerry cartoon characters were named after the cocktail. And this cocktail, the Tom and Jerry drink, it's one of the earliest cocktails ever recorded. It might be the earliest. So Tom and Jerry, this kind of just lark of a hot eggnog drink, actually might be the first cocktail. It's quite possible. This goes back to the 1820s. A British journalist named Pierce Egan. Mr. Egan, he had a book and a play called Life in London. And the two main characters were Tom and Jerry. And so while, anything that goes back 200 years, the history can be a little foggy, especially when alcohol is involved. But most scholars agree that this cocktail was introduced as a way to kind of promote the book, promote the play, which was really common, kind of fascinating, really common in the 19th century. If you had a play or a book, a lot of times people would come up with cocktails to promote it. So it'd be like Top Gun, the movie, coming out, and then there'd be like the Top Gun cocktail, which you wouldn't really see now. Might be something to bring back. But a lot of people thought also that Jerry Thomas, the famous 19th century bartender, often called the father of modern mixology, which is kind of funny to say, but there were claims that he was the one who invented the Tom and Jerry, but that's really been debunked because this goes back a lot further than that. It was really the early part of the 20th century, say the 1920s, going on all the way through to the 1950s. This is when this cocktail was really popular all over the Midwest, and that's when the punch bowl sets came about. The punch bowl sets had to be really ubiquitous and had to be really popular because, as I just mentioned about eBay, they're really easy to find. So it's pretty cool that there's, still old vintage punch bowls that are readily available from this one cocktail that you really only serve this time of year. Without further ado, let's go over the batter here. Here's our recipe for the batter in Cheer Liquid Gold Holiday Drinking Guide. The batter for the Tom and Jerry is you need 12 eggs, 1 ounce of an aged rum. We recommend Four Squares, delicious rums. They're special. They're incredible. But really anything. You could go with an El Dorado. You could go with a Ron Barrilito. Tons of great rums out there. The 1 ounce of aged rum. 4 cups of organic sugar. Half ounce of allspice liqueur or St. Elizabeth's allspice dram. We do have a recipe for allspice liqueur in the book where you can make your own, which can be delicious and pretty easy to make. 2 teaspoons of freshly ground nutmeg, 1 teaspoon powdered cinnamon, 1 teaspoon ground cloves, 1 teaspoon Maldon sea salt, which we love. We use it all over the book. Maldon has that kind of creamy flavor that's so great with ice cream and so great with desserts. Also great in beverages, especially desserty, Christmassy beverages. And then we're going to do half teaspoon of ground mace, which is one of the key ingredients of ketchup, but is a really beautiful spice to kind of round things out. Goes really well with the other spices and sort of tames that pumpkin spice quality of them. So those are your ingredients there. Now you want to separate the eggs, beat the yolks in a stand mixer, slowly adding the rum for a minute or so until they lighten. Gradually add sugar and keep beating until it dissolves. You add the spices and then you beat to incorporate the spices. Now in a separate bowl, you take the egg whites and you beat those until soft peaks form. Then you gently fold in the egg whites to the yolk, spices, and booze mixture. And if you're making this ahead, you do want to cover and refrigerate it until it is Tom and Jerry time. And with the booze in this mixture, it will keep for at least a week is what we say in the book, just to be safe for everybody. But with the booze in there, this batter, it only has 1.5 ounces. We're going to up that once we make the drink. But with that much booze in there, I'd say this batter would keep for a month at least, maybe even 3 or 4. Okay, now when it's Tom and Jerry time, here's what you do. You take 9 ounces of the Tom and Jerry batter, which we just gave you the recipe for. Then you want to do 24 to 32 ounces of whole milk, hot. And so you can bring that up slowly in a pot on the stovetop. Just bring that up nice and slow. Let it get nice and hot. And then 6 ounces of aged rum, 4 ounces of cognac, and then you're going to garnish that with grated nutmeg and a cinnamon stick. And really for the holidays, if you're going to be making eggnog, you're going to be making Tom and Jerry, any drink like this, even Coquito, you want to have the whole nutmegs around because it's just such a different, more pure, more vibrant way to get that spice rather than just using powdered nutmeg. So Splurge for the whole nutmegs. You'll only need a couple to get you through the whole holidays. So that's pretty easy. And then we did mention the 24 to 32 ounces of whole milk, hot. You can also do hot water. And I'm going to have to give a shout out here. And I want to tell you about this method where you could have non-alcoholic Tom and Jerry's, and you're going to use, and you still could use milk, but this recipe, and this was published in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, so we're not giving away any secrets here or anything. This comes from the owner of Bryant's Cocktail Lounge on Milwaukee's South Side, where that's where you want to get, a really authentic Tom and Jerry recipe or Tom and Jerry tips. This is from John Dye, who's the owner of Bryant's Cocktail Lounge there. And I'm sure they're making brandy old fashions there and other Wisconsin classics, but during the month of December and right around Christmas, they have a whole Tom and Jerry room at this bar where they're serving it. And it's all you drink in this one room in the bar. So got to give a shout out to them. And if you wanted to get online, I feel like you could find these. If you want some like quote unquote authentic Wisconsin batters, if you don't want to go to the trouble of making it yourself, which I will say is not that hard. But there are a couple of local to Wisconsin brands. So Connolly's Tom and Jerry mix, which is made in Superior. And then Mrs. Bowen's Tom and Jerry, which is made in Manitowoc, Wisconsin by Cedar Crest Ice Cream. So those are a few. If you really wanted to kind of search out and find something kind of interesting, maybe give it as a gift. But homemade's always better. Oh, and we got to let you know that they do a special Tom and Jerry mug, like a custom one, at Bryant's every year. They put the year on it. They do a different mug every year. So super cool, man. This is the spot to get a Tom and Jerry if you're anywhere near Milwaukee. Give it a taste. Here's the batter that he uses. And what's great about this one is you heat it up and you add the booze, and you can do that separately. So if you wanted to have this, if you're having like some kids over, you wanted them to be able to enjoy it, you could make this non-alcoholic batter and then add the booze and the hot water or milk to it after the fact. But his batter is basically very similar, but he goes 6 eggs separated, so it's a little bit smaller batch. Quarter teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter, room temperature, 1.5 pounds of powdered sugar, which is about 5.5 to 6 cups, half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, half a teaspoon of ground allspice. So he's using the ground allspice where we want to use the allspice liqueur, which is just beautiful. And then once you're going to make the cocktail, they have the brandy and rum and hot water kind of separated out on this recipe. And then freshly ground nutmeg and cinnamon sticks are the traditional garnish that he mentions here as well. So you want to beat the egg whites and salt in a large glass mixing bowl until stiff peaks form. In a separate bowl, beat well the egg yolks and the vanilla extract. You mix the butter and powdered sugar by hand in a large bowl until sugar is incorporated with the butter. You mix that with beaters until light and fluffy. And you add the egg yolks to the butter mixture and mix. Stir in the nutmeg, cloves, and allspice, then add the beaten egg whites. Beat until well blended, but be careful not to overmix. Mr. Dye notes here that the batter tastes best if it's used fresh, but will last about 3 days in the refrigerator. And the reason for that being different than our recipe in the book is because he doesn't really have booze in the batter mixture. So that's why you can kind of make this non-alcoholic friendly. You could also make the batter and freeze it. Since it doesn't have alcohol, it will freeze really solidly. And you could break it out whenever. To serve the Tom and Jerry here at Bryant's, they pour 1 ounce of warm brandy and 1 ounce of warm dark rum into a warm mug. Then they top it with hot water. You stir in 1 heaping tablespoon of Tom and Jerry batter. Then you top it with nutmeg and garnish with a cinnamon stick. That's a great recipe. And this is an authentic Wisconsin recipe. Tons of butter. This is going to fill you right up. This might spoil your dinner. I don't know. Or it might just be a good appetizer. It's like an appetizer in a beautiful Tom and Jerry mug. So that's the Tom and Jerry, one of my favorite holiday drinks. You can definitely find it and some info about it in the book. shout out to Bryant's, and really appreciate that he worked with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel to get that recipe out there for everybody to use and enjoy. That's amazing. All right, now before we get into throw it back to some of our Coquito content from a few years ago and give that recipe, because we'll be making Coquito this weekend there at Minero on Johns Island with the Puerto Rican chef and legend, Shamil Velasquez. Another drink that we'll be making that night is the Tequila Hurricane, which is in the book as Hurricane Patricia. The Hurricane being one of the more misunderstood drinks. If you go back through the archives, we have done a shots episode about the Hurricane and kind of set the record straight. The original Hurricane is a very simple beverage. I found in messing around with it years ago that it's really well suited to tequila. Why? Well, because some of the tropical flavors in there, and when you add the grenadine into it, and say you add a touch of salt, maybe up the salt a little bit, you just have this insanely flavorful beverage that really asks for tequila instead of rum. To me, might be blasphemy, but let me give you a recipe. If you want to make this Tequila Hurricane at home, this is from the book, but you do 2 ounces of, I'd say a Blanco tequila, but a Reposado would go really well with some of the tropical notes. The Reposado is going to give you that little hint of vanilla, so go either way. But 2 ounces of tequila, 3/4 ounce of pineapple juice, fresh pineapple juice, 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice, a 1/2 ounce of passion fruit cordial, which we've got that recipe in the book. Maybe you can find a passion fruit puree at the store, or some frozen passion fruit puree, 1/2 ounce of that, 1/4 ounce of grenadine. And that's real pomegranate grenadine, really easy to make if you just bought pomegranate juice at the store, mixed it with sugar, say equal parts. And then we've got a really beautiful, more exotic grenadine recipe in the book as well. A dash of a citrus bitters. I love the Dram citrus bitters. We also have a really cool recipe in the book of citrus bitters. Then you're going to do a little tiny pinch of salt, 1 dash of Angostura bitters, and you're going to pulse that in a blender for 6 to 8 seconds, tiki style, with, say, about 8 ounces of ice or so, 8 to 10 ounces of ice, and then serve that in a Pilsner glass or a Hurricane glass and garnish with pineapple frond and a slice of orange and maybe an orchid if you got one. So that's the Tequila Hurricane, and that will help to cure your seasonal affective disorder. So we talked about the Tom and Jerry, which is great for cold nights, but if you're someone who, the too much cold, too many gray skies are getting you down, look to the Tequila Hurricane. So stoked to be making that for people here this weekend in Charleston. All right, another thing we'll be doing is Coquito. So let's throw it back to our episode with Shamil Velasquez, and we're going to talk some Coquito and give a recipe, and I'll just play a little clip from that episode now. Tell me about some of the Christmas traditions in Puerto Rico. I know that the Christmas Eve is a big deal, and a lot of times there's like pig roasts that go into the night and the next day. But what can you recall as some of your some Christmas traditions that for Navidad there in Puerto Rico?
So I'll say this in there: if there's any better time in Puerto Rico to visit Puerto Rico, is Christmas, I would say.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of people like to go during the summertime because of the beach and everything. And I would just say there's something in the air during Christmas in Puerto Rico that anybody, just is so happy, so humbling. So everybody just wants to share what they have with you, and it's so opening. Unfortunately, I don't know how it is right now because the situation that we're going through, but it is definitely that time of the year that is just wow. I would say food left and right, drinks left and right, and everybody's just like, hey, I have this to give and much more, just come inside sort of attitude. And that's really humbling. It is great. So some of the traditions that I would say that stand out in my head right off the rip is definitely el lechon, having the local pork, like you said, being roasted over leña, which is our type of charcoal wood that we have on the island. We definitely don't go low and slow in a way. We usually go for skin. That's our main goal there. Get that crunchy, crackling, golden skin, and we usually marinate the pork with like garlic, oregano, salt, and black pepper.
Uh-huh.
And that itself just get marinated, and then the pig goes over the leña, and little by little, till you get that beautiful mild reaction on that skin, and it's just wow.
That's amazing.
But obviously, if you have that beautiful pork, you got to bring it down with something. So,
yeah,
for beverages themselves, I would have to say that we're definitely a beer drinking type of island, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
We like to drink our local beer called Medalla.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny little cans. You can find sometimes for like $1 around the island. But we drink that usually while you're roasting the pork. But also within that, there's a couple other drinks that we have. One is Coquito, like you said.
Yeah.
And another one is called Pitorro. So those are some of the things that I look forward to, at least that camaraderie of sharing drinks and, hey, here, have a little piece of the skin. Oh, here, have a little piece of the tripe, Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, grilling and chilling, drinking a bunch of beer.
Absolutely.
That sounds incredible around Christmas. So we mentioned Coquito. What was the other one?
Pitorro.
Pitorro. Tell me about Pitorro.
So Pitorro is something from the mountains. Actually, the second name to it is called Lágrimas del Monte, Tears of the Mountain.
Yes.
So this is very, very, very special to me. I think every family has one. It's pretty much, I think the best way I can put it is moonshine, if you will, done in the streets, if you will, in the mountains, made from sugarcane. And it is illegal in the island because of the high proof that it has. Mm-hmm. Saying that you usually can find it from the people that sell it. They sell it out of their trunks or whatever. It's very hidden in a way, but yeah, everybody knows that it happens, but everybody kind of looks the other way in a way.
Sure,
it's just such a part of the tradition for us, and usually you see them starting to come out in November. So I think every family usually has a guy or two, or some families themselves make it. I know my grandfather made one around 20 years ago, I would say, and I still have a flask of it.
Oh, wow.
That is in my personal possession here in the States. No comment on how I got that here, but the point is,
sure.
That was actually my Christmas gift last year. It was pretty heartwarming for me to get that. But the point is,
oh, that's great.
So I'll give you an example. My grandfather has his, and there's different flavors you can do. There's anything from coconut to passion fruit. You can make the classic one, which usually involves raisins and cinnamon and different spices like that. My personal favorite is the coconut one. I think in my family right now, there's one that's around 5 years old that they started not so long ago. And then the one my grandfather did was with the raisins and currants and cinnamon sticks in there and other spices. So pretty much they give you, let's say the person who makes it, gives you the clear liquid, and then you infuse it. Mm-hmm. And then you pretty much, there are some families that bury it in their backyard and take it out every year.
Okay, yeah, earth age.
Yeah. And then other families just put it in the cabinet and just forget about it. Mm-hmm. And then come Thanksgiving or pretty much any celebration, they take it out, and you pretty much get the little screw cap of the top of the rum bottom. Be like, here, share it. And you just take a shot, and 3 shots will do you for sure. I'm telling you, that stuff is no joke.
I bet.
But it is definitely, it's not hard though. That's the thing. At least the one that my grandfather, that I have some in my possession, it's almost like a brandy. It's very, very, very smooth. But it is strong, and they're unfiltered, and it's just delicious. And it's just I think every party you go to, every house has one, and you're like, hey, what flavor do you have? Hey, what do you have? And once you start taking shots and the music is going and the food, it's a party and a half, I'll tell you that. It's definitely fun. More seen in Christmas, for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, y'all know how to do it right. I need to do Christmas in Puerto Rico.
I know how to do Christmas in Puerto Rico, absolutely.
And Coquito's a big thing in your family. Can you tell me, so we know Coquito to be coconut milk, coconut cream, condensed milk a lot of times. What else? It's the Coquito. It's the coconut cousin to eggnog that we're more familiar with here in the States. But people are really getting interested, and more people are making Coquito here in the States, it seems like.
Yeah. So to me, Coquito, this one's more on my mother's side, and like I said, it's one of those drinks again that you see people starting selling in November, right around Thanksgiving. But Coquito itself is something that I grew up my mother making as a gift to a lot of people, or she would make it for the whole family, and every person, my aunt would get a bottle, my grandma would get a bottle, and everybody would have a bottle. Depending on the party or the house we go to, there's a bottle available.
Yeah.
So the Coquito itself is pretty much, like you said, evaporated milk, sweet condensed milk, coconut cream, coconut milk, and then we make a tea, if you will, on the side that has cloves, cinnamon, allspice sometimes. And then my mother personally likes to add a little hint of ginger for spiciness. And pretty much you steep that and you mix that liquid with the dairy itself. And then you take equal parts of that to a white rum or brown rum, either or. My mom's choice is Donku, which is the local rum.
Yeah.
And pretty much once you have all that together, you pretty much let it sit. And then the trick is you always got, I mean, I grew up having a little bottle on the side because obviously mine couldn't have alcohol, but when you're a kid, you're still drinking it without the rum. They put you on it when you're very young.
Oh, sure. Cool. Okay. Yeah. They're like, you need to like this.
Yeah, absolutely. They call it Birgen, a virgin one for sure. So they usually give you a little bottle for the kids, and that's that.
That's great. Well, yeah, and it seems like it's more common in Puerto Rico to be made with the white rum, the Silver Don Q, whatever you want to call it. So that seems to be one of the defining characteristics as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people that also add the raw pitorro in there too.
Oh yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to do this. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good mashup. If you had a spirit that was aging, or infusing for years, and then you added a little bit of that sounds incredible.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I could only think is like I said, my family right now, my brother, he has a coconut one, and I'm sure that would be delicious in there. That's strong as all hell, but shit, I mean, I'm sure it'll be good.
Well, I want to come taste your family's Coquito when the pandemic's over.
Please do. We actually, funny you say that, because last year we missed the mark just because we were opening up, and it didn't even really click. I think it's taken me a while to come out of the shelf to put on like a lot of Puerto Rican flair in the menu itself. I think I was very holding myself back, but
sure.
I think the guests have liked it a lot, so we definitely be coming out with a lot more. And we put Coquito on the menu this year, and Jessica Backhus, she's been, I think, on the podcast before as well. But
oh yeah,
I pretty much presented my recipe that I have it in my notes on my phone, because every year I got to call my mom. I was like, hey mom, how do you do this again? And she's like, 2 of these, 1 of these, and 1 of these, and then a hint of that. And I'm like, great, I'm going to write it out. So I actually had the recipe on my notes, and I was like, hey, this is what I put in it. This is what my mother puts it in, and it comes out every time. I don't have measurements, but I just know how it comes out.
Sure.
She literally started doing it, and then we started playing with the flavor. I was like, it's good, but your texture's off. It has to have a little thicker texture, in my opinion. Or it needs a little hint. It has to have a little kick in the back of the throat with the ginger. And then she started bringing in different liqueurs and different items that I was just a little skeptic about it. And then, and I was just like, no, that works. And then I ended up adding a little bit of Angostura bitters, and I was like, holy shit, this is life. Like, that's awesome. Like, that works. So it was pretty fun, me being able to give her my recipe, and Kevin and King, and they take the recipe and just like flip it around and just, wow.
Oh, that's great. And a lot of family recipes are like that, especially around the holidays. There's recipes that people struggle to get right because it was like, well, you just got to watch me make it. That kind of thing, where your grandma's saying, well, I can't really tell you exactly how I made it.
Oh, yeah. Started my life with everything with them.
Really?
Yeah.
You mentioned texture. Where what was it lacking when it needed texture? Where do you get that texture from, would you say?
The sweet condensed milk.
Okay, yeah.
And the coconut cream. It depends, because back home we put everything over ice. I put my milk and orange juice over ice, as weird as that sounds, but it's just so hot over there that you just put everything on ice. It's simple.
Yeah.
So Coquito, traditionally, I drink it with ice. A lot of families don't. I think it's just my personal preference that I like it with ice, and to me that texture was missing. So when you add the ice, it starts to dilute a little bit with the water and whatnot. So they're actually keeping it really cold, and then they put it on a frozen coupe on it, and then grate a little bit of cinnamon on there. But I think it was just more the texture of the coconut cream and the evaporated, the sweet condensed milk together, I would say.
Yeah, and you mentioned Angostura is, and I would imagine Angostura would mimic some of those spices that you use.
Yes.
Is Angostura like prevalent or something that you see used a lot in Puerto Rico?
I'll be honest. Now the scene has definitely coming up with the more craft cocktail.
Yeah.
My type of bar in Puerto Rico, I pay $2-3 for maximum for home squeeze orange juice or pineapple juice or acerola, which is like a tart cherry we have, or guava, like any of those tropical fruits that you think that's freshly there, and then rum, and that's it. Like there's not really like mixing involved.
Sure.
Like it's just bars over there. At least the bars I grew up going to, they're so simple that they just have beer and whatever's on the well, which is pretty much the same always, and mix one and the other and call it a day. There's nobody shaking drinks.
Yeah.
Usually you stick your finger in it and shake it yourself, and so you get the thin red straw and you just drink away. And they're so cheap, but they're so good that way. But I think recently, I would say in the last 5 years, there's probably more than that. Because I was never paying attention to it, to be honest. I was like my type of bar. But recently, I've been to Puerto Rico a couple times, and I go out. And like if I was going out in downtown Charleston or anywhere else I've lived at, and go out to eat the way I do out here, and I'm like, holy shit, like that's pretty awesome. They're doing different drinks with like culantro and different simple syrups, and definitely using a lot of great different rums, like rum barrilito, which is another great rum. I actually found a bottle here. I was doing an event on Palmetto Bluff, and one of the guys owned the liquor shop there, and he took me in the middle of the night. He's like, oh, I gotta show you my liquor shop. We just hit it off, and he showed me he had a bottle of rum barrilito, and I freaked out. I was like, oh my god, I'm buying this tonight, and it's so good.
Yeah, I love that rum, and there's a little fan base for it here in Nashville, I would say.
Is it really? It's actually from my hometown, Puerto Rico, Bayamon.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a great rum.
Oh, it's fantastic. I actually just plain. I don't really drink rum plain, like meat or anything like that. I'm not a big guy like that. I usually like a mix-in, but the first time I had that one, I had those strong vanilla notes right off the rip. I was just like, this is good. Like, this is real good. I just grew up on Don Q. That's the childhood rum, and the one I still drink today with a little bit of Coca-Cola and lime.
Yeah, Don Q's solid. When I was at Chopper, what we really liked about which was the Tiki Bar open about a year and a half ago here in Nashville. If we were making cocktails, tiki drinks that had like a lot of different flavors, spice, the Ron Barrilito, it really held up to all those big flavors, and it just had so much flavor. Nothing could really, move it out of the way, so to speak.
One rum that when I got to Charleston and I started hanging out with Kevin King, and he's like showing me all the different techniques that he uses, and he's just blowing my mind with probably like the simplest things in the bartender world. I think the one drink that he blew my mind with, and still to this day, like, wow, it's as simple as it sounds, a daiquiri.
Oh, yeah.
With plantation pineapple.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know what that was, and I got my mind like, whoa, like, if they're not drinking this back home, they're doing it wrong, because, like, the population over there would kill over this. Like, it is so good. So good. And that rum itself, like, I remember he showed it to me, and I was like, the next day, I went out, I bought a shaker, I bought Angostura bitters, I bought the kit,
wow.
Like, oh, this is mine. Like, this is my new drink.
Yeah.
I was all excited. I was, like, texting him pictures and whatnot, but the plantation pineapple, wow, that's a good one, too, I would say, for sure.
That's a great one. They need to do Ron Barrilito pineapple.
That would be killer, because the pineapple back home there's a lot of pineapple that grows back home, and it's very different from the one in the state. I would say it's a lot more tart, a lot more acidic And they're definitely on the smaller side. There's bigger ones, but like nice and tart. But then you also have your sweetness once they ripe up really good and juicy. Oh, they're so good. We use the rinds to make hot sauce back home with it.
Oh,
so
cool.
Good. Oh yeah, good stuff.
Do you make tepache in Puerto Rico, the kind of fermented pineapple skin beverage?
We have something similar.
Uh-huh.
I would say it's hot sauce. Hot sauce is done the same way.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Jessica Backhus was making tepache in the restaurant for a drink that we had one of our opening drinks. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. We make hot sauce in such a similar way. We just ferment it longer. So yes and no, but definitely not. I think the pineapple rinds are only used for that specifically.
So that probably gives a little tropical hit to it, I would imagine.
Yeah, we do have I think all bars back home have what we call chichaito. Chichaito means like a little I don't even know if I could curse in here. But it means a little fucked up, if you will.
Okay.
A little hit, a little nip. So this we pretty much they have them all flavors, and they're usually at $1 at all the bars. I think every bar makes their own mix, and it's usually like a mix of anise type liqueur that they make, and then they mix in the fruit with it, whether it's pineapple juice or passion fruit or the guava, etc. And then they have like a list with like all these, and you gotta try this one, $1. Everybody gets a shot. Boom.
Oh wow!
So it's definitely a very alcohol friendly community in Puerto Rico for sure.
It sounds like a party.
It's not even like everybody gets. It's more of a
it's a vibe.
Getting together and having a couple of drinks and having some laughs and a good time, a couple of dances, and then to all that, boom, all the food behind it. It's all about sharing, and I think that's the most important part of all our drinks and all our food. It's family and being humble and just sharing what you have and what you know with your neighbor, if you will.
I love that. Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much. All right, and before we go today, I'm going to throw things over to cocktail correspondent Jess Backhus, who writes some really great party planning tips throughout the book. This is her story, and it's an old Bill Parcells story called Runways Last, about how you can prioritize your holiday budgeting for your party and take a cue from the old Air Force, where they would put the runways last in the budget because they knew they could get the runways approved, because after you build the airplanes and everything else, where are you going to land them? So that's kind of a trick that Bill Parcells learned and would later use that for budgeting purposes for football teams, athletic departments. And of course, we want to use it to booze up your holiday party. Let's throw things to Jessica Backhus.
There are many qualities that transfer easily from the sports industry to the hospitality industry, and vice versa. One of my favorite books to share with restaurant managers is a coaching book, Talent and the Secret Life of Teams by Terry Pettit, a very successful college volleyball coach. The formulas for success in both arenas are interchangeable and dependent on teamwork, ingenuity, and accountability. My dad was a great college football coach in his 20s. And many years later was an astute managing partner / owner-operator of a Western-style hospitality venue. He extended his coaching charisma into his banquet and management setting. He used to say he wished he could replay footage from events with the staff, like game footage in the locker room, so that he could revisit how the night went, see who had dropped the ball, and figure out ways to improve. Now, most restaurants have security cameras, and they absolutely can and do turn to footage to keep the guests safe and secure, happy, and, if necessary, accountable in the event of an incident or a complaint. Hosting a holiday gathering is very much like a banquet evening or restaurant service, and relatable to sports when it comes to planning and budgets. Everyone is expected to deliver a satisfying result within reasonable expectations, all while not spending too much money. Whether sharing delicious cheer or attempting to win a national championship, working within your means can be challenging, but exceedingly successful with ingenuity and creativity. My dad worked with the great coach Bill Parcells, who was known for innovative success on the football field and in his programs. On Parcells' desk in the football office, where a nameplate would normally be, he simply had a sign that read, "Runways Last." The coach had taken on the enormous challenge of transforming a losing football team, the Air Force Academy, into a championship team that could, most importantly, beat their rivals at Navy. When he arrived at the school, he asked the difference between the two institutions. He was told that when Air Force was given the order from Congress to build a new air base, the first thing they would build would be the runways, followed by the airplane hangars, and then housing for the officers and enlisted people. Prior to building the Officers Club, they would run out of money, at which point they would go back to Congress to ask for more money to build the Officers Club. Congress would turn them down, claiming there was no money left in the budget. The Navy, on the other hand, when given the charge from Congress to build an air base, would first build the Officers Club, and then the housing for personnel, and then the hangars for the aircraft. At this point, they would run out of money and would go back to Congress to ask for the money needed to build the runways. Congress would, of course, appropriate the funds. According to my dad, early in Bill's tenure at the academy, the weight room was improved, sweats and workout gear upgraded, uniforms tweaked, but no new helmets were ordered. There was no money left in the budget, until there was. When planning a holiday party, beverages must be at the top of the budget list. Food is necessary, and decorations create cheer, but the drinks you serve at the party are the rug that ties the room together. People would much rather spend time in the Officers Club than on the runway. Tasty, thoughtful beverages will make the food more delicious, the decorations better appreciated, and will set the tone for the entire night.
All right, thanks so much for listening today to this holiday-centric episode of Liquid Gold. We'll be back with more holiday content next week. Got a busy last couple weeks of the year for us. And again, we'll be at Josephine on 12 South Thursday, December 22nd, with signed copies of the book and doing plenty of plenty of eggnog. So we look forward to that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. My name's Mike Wolf, and we'll see you next time on Liquid Gold.